And now, a brand new episode of Script to Screen, live on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM, made to be heard.
Hello and welcome to a brand new episode of Script to Screen Spotlight here on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM. I'm your host, Alan Mahana, and as always, joining me is the solo to my Chewbacca, Had Solo.
Hey, how you doing?
TGIF.
It's Friday, it's the weekend.
It is a Friday, the beginning of the weekend, the start of the weekend, and my nose is all stuffy.
Oh my God, why is it so stuffy, you fluffy?
Because
I don't know what I just did.
I don't know either. I'm trying to ignore it.
That was weird.
Because allergies.
Yeah,
with the changing in the weather, I get all stuffy.
Nice.
Yes.
Interesting, very fascinating, really, so.
I try.
Yeah.
I try. So we've got a very fun spotlight episode today.
Yes.
We're going to be talking about our beloved characters from films or television. Funnily enough, you ended up choosing film characters and I ended up choosing television characters.
True.
Which is very, very interesting. I just noticed that actually.
Yeah. It's like two ends of the spectrum.
Yep, two ends of the spectrum, which keeps things interesting. And essentially who they belong to. Do they belong to us? Do they belong to the creators of those characters? And then we're also talking about the never-ending battle between Hollywood and the fans of film franchises, of movies, TV shows, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. In some cases, the fans fight for good. In some cases, the fans fight for not so good.
It's messed up. Yeah.
It's. I mean, you've got both sides of the spectrum.
True. Absolutely.
Which is interesting and exciting, and it keeps us on our toes, and it keeps giving us content for our conversations.
That's amazing. That's what we want.
Yeah, exactly. Which we are very, very, very thankful for.
Absolutely.
On that note, we're going to quickly hop off onto our first musical break. This is essentially what happens on Spotlight. We don't waste too much time.
No, we just get right in.
We just get right into it. We get going.
We get down and dirty.
Ooh.
No.
It's a little too early for down and dirty.
That's Friday, so who knows?
It's 5 p.m. somewhere. Which brings us to the spotlight of the day, which is a beloved Hollywood or beloved movie and television characters, why we love them, and why do we feel so protective of them. Yeah. So why don't you start us off with your first beloved character?
Well, I will. I mean, why not?
Yeah.
So obviously the first character is Indiana Jones.
Obviously.
I picked this song because I wanted to talk about Indy.
Right.
And I'm going to kick off with, if you close your eyes and you listen to that song, you cannot but see Harrison Ford and as Indiana Jones and that person. And he brought me so many memories as a kid. I used to watch Indiana Jones over and over, all three of them. As a kid, I think I watched Last Crusade the most.
Okay.
But growing up, I came to love the Temple of Doom and the Raiders of the Lost Ark more.
Right.
And he's such an iconic character because whenever you see a whip, you think of Indiana Jones.
Or the hat.
Or the hat. At one point, I was so into Indy that, and this is way back when I was maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I wanted to be an archaeologist.
Yeah.
Because I thought that's what they do. I didn't know that it was a different kind of job.
Right.
But seriously, what an iconic character with that temperament, that character, that making it up as I go,
lighthearted, adventure filled, fun, yeah,
fun, and who else but Harrison Ford to play Indiana Jones,
of course,
and I mean there was the fourth one which I don't like to talk about.
Right. I don't think a lot of people don't like to talk about the fourth film.
Yeah, it's like there were three
Kingdom
films.
of the Crystal Skull.
Yeah. I mean, it had potential.
More like Kingdom of the Crystal Doll.
It was good, like in certain parts, but I think the ending kind of ruined it.
Yeah. When it went all, I don't know, E.T. meets Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Totally.
Meets that moment in Transformers where Shia LaBeouf sees all these giant.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That's, okay.
Yeah.
Yep. Totally.
Yeah.
And so that's why I love Indy. I love because he doesn't necessarily think about what he wants to do. He just does it.
Right.
It's never calculated, but it always works out. And he always does it from the heart and from an ethical point of view, because he believes in what he's searching for in terms of archaeology and ruins and artifacts. And who can forget that first time you see Indiana Jones when he's going into that temple and picking up the artifact and then putting the sand and nothing happens, and then the big boulder follows him. Right.
You know what's funny is that, but we've mentioned this a couple of times, that Spielberg doesn't have a lot of flop films, and I think Crystal Skull might be that one.
Yeah.
That it might be that one. But you're right. Indy is you know. It's just, man, it's got everything that you want in an adventure movie. Yeah. It's got humor, it's got heart, it's got drama, it's got suspense, it's got excitement,
romance
with you know, like strong women,
supernatural at times.
You know, yeah. With Raiders of the Lost Ark, it was completely supernatural, extraterrestrial. Although we don't want to mention that. Yeah. But you're right. Indiana Jones is in fact a very iconic character. Yeah. It is a character in and of itself, but in a lot of other ways, I think it's also Harrison. Like it scares me. It scares me with the way the world is now. And I think we're probably going to talk about this later on, but it scares me with the way the world is now, that it's specifically the industry, and it's so hyped up on reboots and remakes and nostalgia. It scares me that we're living in a world where if John McClane can now be recast as younger.
Yeah. What does that mean for other characters? Right.
If Han Solo can be recast as younger, what does that mean for characters like Indiana Jones or whatnot? So it is kind of scary. It is worrying. It's not scary. It's just worrying, because again, like, this is why we're having this conversation is, you know, we feel very protective of these characters. Yeah. We grew up loving these characters. So yeah,
look, I think under some formulas, the recasting of certain actors works, like James Bond.
Yeah,
but then there are characters I think you should not touch.
Well, James Bond was always established as a secret agent up until Skyfall. James Bond was supposed to be an alias.
007.
Yeah, you know, like.
But that works, and maybe Ethan Hunt would work in Mission Impossible. Perhaps I'm not sure. But someone as iconic as Indiana Jones, or we'll talk about other characters in a bit. Stop thinking about, and again, maybe I'm jumping into another segment, but stop thinking about money. And we will talk about this in more details a bit later.
Definitely.
How about you? Someone?
Well, so because I'm tackling television, and it wasn't done purposefully. It just happened to be that, you know, because for me, although I love, you know, I proclaim that I love movies, not proclaim, I actually do. I love movies and TV shows that deal with characters. When thinking of who are my favorite characters, you know, I don't know why I struggled so much to try to find a character that for me is just like, is everything. So I did settle on two characters finally. So, to start things off, I'm going to go with, since we're talking about adventure and excitement and all that, I'm going to start with the first, which is Doctor Who.
Who?
Funny. Doctor Who is probably, I love that character. And it is a character that's been recast multiple times because the show has been on for more than 50 years now. You know, there was a big gap in between at some point before it was rebooted in a way, or kind of, you know, it got a new season. It wasn't necessarily like, because reboot now means something else, but technically it was rebooted with Christopher Eccleston first, who did one season, and then you had David Tennant, who came in and played Doctor Who, and then you had Matt Smith, who's now on The Crown and who's gone on to do multiple successful things, and then you had Peter Capaldi, and now he's been really recast. And he's now a she. So Haven't seen it yet with her. Don't know if I'm going to, but Doctor Who is, again, it's very similar to Indiana Jones. It's this high octane space adventure across time, across space. Anything can happen. Monsters and aliens and creatures and twists and turns and the past becomes the future and the future becomes the past. It's just time, it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey stuff. And this is actually a line from the show. And the thing that I like most about Doctor Who is the fact that this is a character who, according to the storyline, has been alive for thousands of years. He's a Time Lord. He's one of the last of his kind. But he's literally a child at heart. And he's so childlike. He's literally he's looking at Earth, looking at humans, looking at the universe in a way that a child would. And it's so imaginative. And he is so, he's kind. He is, again, it goes to the thing that you were talking about, Indiana Jones, which is why I figured this would be the perfect time to talk about Doctor Who. The ethics, the loyalty to his friends, there were romantic storylines with David Tennant. Specifically, there was a massive romantic storyline that ended in tragedy, and fans went, crazy over that tragic ending to Rose. That was her name. So for me, being someone who believes that I'm still a child at heart in a lot of ways, the imagination and adventure and all that stuff, I love that. That's kind of why I like Doctor Who, because of that, because of the fact that it's hopeful. Children can watch it, adults can watch it. There are fans of the series that are literally now in their 70s, in their 60s, because they started watching it when they were younger, back when it was only black and white. Yeah. And you've got the new fans, and for something to do this, it's amazing. It's awesome that Definitely. It's crossed so many different generations. So, who wouldn't want to have a time machine that looks like a phone box that's huge on the inside with that could take you anywhere in time, anywhere in space? That sounds like a lot of fun.
It does. I've never watched the show, so I can't really contribute, but I do know of the Doctor Who definitely, and I have a lot of friends who've watched the show. And I do know it's an iconic show and an iconic character.
Oh, yeah, big time.
And there's always a buzz whenever the character, the actor playing Doctor Who is leaving. Yeah. There's always a buzz as who's going to play him next.
Yeah, especially this year.
Yeah, this year is big, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, I can't give you a lot of input because I haven't watched the show, but I do know it's lasted ages.
Yep, it has.
And, but definitely a very, very iconic character.
Yep. Who's your second?
Well, my second is, it's also Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
It wasn't done on purpose.
I know.
But my second character is actually Han Solo.
Go figure.
Because Han Solo,
Because Han Solo.
No, but because Han is, I think, a lot of the heart of Star Wars, the original trilogy.
Which is really interesting because he's also the most cynical of the characters.
He is. And he's cynical, and he's very sarcastic, and he's not very much like Indiana Jones in the sense that he's ethical and right. He does what's right in his heart,
right? But
sometimes he's a scoundrel. He is. He's the guy in the bar that shot first.
Wink, wink.
Yep. But he's such a fun character. He's so lovable. Yes, Star Wars was always about Jedis and the Force, but I think most of the kids growing up wanted to be Han. Of course we did. They wanted to be that guy with the blasters and just, he also happens to
shoot
make
first,
things up.
ask questions later.
Yeah, makes things up as he goes. But also the whole dynamics he has with Luke, the whole dynamics he has with Leia. He's such an interesting character. And again, they recast him, and they did the younger version of Solo. And to me, they ruined so many things. The way he meets Chewbacca is so dumbed down. The way he gets his name is borderline pathetic.
Right?
They ruined the
Han.
mythos of.
Are you alone?
Yes. Okay.
Solo.
Solo. I mean, come on, like you ruined.
Which makes the shirt that you're wearing so perfect because it's also, you know, like you never go solo.
Never go solo. Yeah, absolutely. And again, sometimes when you own a certain character, like when a studio owns a certain character, I think they have to respect his legacy and not think about big bucks.
Yeah, and this is where it like really links into what we're going to be talking about next.
Yeah. I think people discovering Han Solo, a younger generation right now, watching Solo a Star Wars story, could very well be disappointed by who's that guy. He will not.
Yeah, I think if you are brought into or introduced to Han Solo via this guy, and then you go back and watch Harrison Ford. There will be a disconnect. There will be a huge disconnect.
Yeah, it makes no sense. And I love, by the way, how Solo is interpreted in Force Awakens, the older Solo.
Yeah.
He's still very true to himself.
Yeah.
But he has changed. He has evolved as a character. So definitely he makes it on my list of these iconic, amazing characters. And a series filled with iconic characters.
Yes, for
Indiana
sure.
Jones is Indiana
sure.
Jones. You know, he's the only character. You don't really remember other people. There's Salah, there's Marcus. But in Star Wars, you have Luke, you have Leia, you have Darth Vader, you have the Emperor. And he stands out to me as, I think, the most iconic character.
Well, what's very interesting is that we've always said that Harrison Ford always wanted the demise of Han, right?
Yeah.
He never wanted him to survive after Empire. What's very funny is that I think it was like earlier this week, which technically not this week, so like a few weeks ago, producer Gary Kurtz died. And he was a producer on Star Wars. He was very hands-on producer of Star Wars. He was literally George Lucas's like second in command.
Yeah.
One of the biggest reasons why Kurtz left is because he disagreed with Lucas's changes for Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi was never supposed to be what it was.
Yeah.
Return of the Jedi was supposed to be much darker.
Absolutely.
It was supposed to be the ending had Leia going off on her own, Luke going off on his own, but it also had Harrison Ford's death.
Yeah.
Or Han Solo's death. So essentially, he was supposed to survive from 5 to 6.
Yeah.
But then after his saving in 6, he was supposed to die. Which is horrible when you think about it. But it's very interesting to see the way Star Wars changed. There was never supposed to be a second Death Star. It was supposed to be completely different.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be less, like more downplayed. It was supposed to be more focused on the characters and not so much the action. And Lucas wanted more action, and Kurtz was like, "But that's not what Star Wars is." And so it's interesting. It's interesting. So my second character, beloved character, would have to be the one and only Jack Bauer.
Oh, Jack, yes.
24 is probably a series that I've watched more than once. I love this series.
Oh, it's such a good
show. I love this series. It was so relevant at the time, so genius at the time. Every season topped the one that came before. It did have what I think it was like season 6. Season 6 was just like an off season, but then the final season was brilliant.
The half season, it was 12 episodes.
No. I'm talking about like the one before Live Another Day, which was the 12 episode one.
But with Jack Bauer, not
with Jack.
The new guy.
Yeah, that was really good. But I'm talking about like the original season finale, series finale, which had Jack looking up at the satellite camera, and then it would go to static, and then it was like it was very boring in a lot of ways. Jack Bauer, for me, is I mean, that's a guy you want fighting for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He was no bars held, no BS.
Yep.
Come hell or high water, we got to
get the job done.
We got to get the job done. We got to save people. We got to protect mankind, protect America, because that's, most of the storylines, that's where they happen. And how could you go wrong with a character like that? Not to mention, I think, Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes.
Brilliant performance as Jack.
Amazing.
I mean, so iconic. What's hilarious to me is that a lot of the people that worked on 24 are now working on Designated Survivor, including the music composer of 24 is now composing music for Designated Survivor, which is the new show that Kiefer Sutherland's on. I was watching one episode. I don't follow the show. I'm not, I liked the first season. Second season went a little haywire for me. But I was watching it once and I was sitting there listening to the music. I'm like, a lot of this music sounds so familiar. And I go and I Google it and I'm like, oh, well, duh.
It's the same group.
Like it's the same kind of feel. It's this very 24 feel. I loved cheering for Jack. Yeah. I loved seeing how far Jack would go.
He's willing to go.
How much darkness is he willing to tap into? And that was a good character to have on TV.
True.
You don't have characters like this on TV right now.
No.
You don't, aside from the fact that the majority of characters on TV right now are women, which is, again, nothing against that, but I'm just saying, like, you don't have a dude on TV. I think that's kind of why I like Jack Ryan so much, because it kind of gave me that, badass hero who will go and... he would not do whatever it takes. I don't think he's a Jack Bauer, but he is a,
he's a diluted.
He is a diluted Jack Bauer. But again, the analyst was activated in season 1, so you don't know where he's going to go in the following seasons, which has been confirmed that he is coming back. For me, when they tried to reboot the series with the actor from
Straight Outta Compton.
Straight Outta Compton, yeah, I forget his name.
Corey something.
Yeah, Corey something. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. And now there's talk of them doing a 24 prequel series. So before the days of Jack, which
doesn't work.
I don't know. The rumors were that it was going to be a female lead. Don't know how that's going to work. Because again, 24 is about that high octane aggression. That is what it's about. It's a ticking clock, man.
But here's the problem: they're banking on the idea of 24 and not on the idea of Jack Bauer.
Which nothing for me excited me more than seeing the trailer and it said Jack is back, and I'm like, yes, you can't. It angers me so much. Yeah. Now, on a lighter note, there is. From what I understood from the showrunners, the original showrunners of 24, is that they're trying to expand the 24 universe. So there is talk of a spin-off series of 24 that deals with the law. So it's legal cases that occur over the course of 24 hours.
Okay.
That sounds interesting to me because this is completely detached from Jack and the CIA and all that stuff. So I think it's interesting. It would be interesting to see legal cases with a ticking clock.
I don't know.
It sounds interesting. I'm not going woo. I'm just saying it sounds interesting, and I'm a little bit more accepting of that than saying we're going to do a prequel 24 series before Jack or a younger Jack or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, every once in a while I pop in one of those seasons and I'm just like, ooh. My favorite one is the one with the season 3 had the virus, and I love season 3 with the virus.
Yeah.
But I also love, I think it's either season 4 or 5, where it's like gas. It's something that has to do with gas. And at one point they attack CTU, and you've got people in all these different directions.
There's one of the guys,
the big chubby guy. He ends up dying, and
there's a comic actor I think who's in it who has a series.
Yes.
Sean, the guy from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, Sean Astin. Yeah,
and he dies in it.
He dies in that season as well. Yeah. It's that season. It's a really, really, really good season.
That's a very good show, and seriously, I don't think anyone else should be doing this. It's just Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland, and that's it. Leave it at that.
Yeah,
I think there's so much to do and create. You don't need to bank on something. 24 was
either
a new
that
concept.
or just pay him enough money to leave Designated Survivor and come back as Jack. Because I would not say no to that.
Yeah.
Same way I would never say no to John McClane.
John McClane, yeah.
So here we are talking about the second spotlight, which is a little touchy-feely. Hollywood versus the fans. Fans versus Hollywood. What's going on in this crazy fandom? You've got the over toxic fandom of things like the Star Wars universe and the DC universe and the MCU, and you've got the fandom that saves television shows and gets them back, and it's literally confusing. You know, you have such polar opposites. I think, and it's sad that it's gotten so divisive. Like, it's gotten so either hardcore to the point of saving something from pure death, and then hardcore to the point of killing something. Hardcore
to the point of hurting people and making them go off social media. And,
yeah.
I mean, that's excessive.
But here's the thing. So I don't think this is a purely a fan problem, but I also don't think it's purely a Hollywood problem. I think
a combination.
It's a pure combination. It's a pure. I think there are mistakes that are being made on both sides of the fence, and that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it today, because like when you get, and it sort of relates back to the original topic that we were discussing. When you get people who are in charge, and I'm not going to name any names. I'm just going to speak as in
general.
Yeah, as diplomatically as possible. So when you get people in charge, like directors or producers or studio presidents or whatever, talking down to the fandom, right? Saying things like, I don't care what the fans want. I'm going to make the movie that I want. That's a problem.
Yeah.
So you can't expect that there won't be a reaction from the fans. However, the reaction shouldn't be as drastic as it's been. I think people should voice out their opinions. People should say that this is not the way you talk to the people that are literally the reason why you guys are still making these movies. But it shouldn't be done in a way that's hurtful.
I mean, look at us on the show. We don't necessarily agree with everyone.
Right, exactly.
We never support what's happening, but we're never destructive about it or toxic about it. There's a way and there's a manner to do things, even from studio head to director, etc. There's a way to talk to people, and the fans have to learn how to talk to these people too.
Right. Because when you look at something like Marvel Studios, Marvel has done nothing but support and respect their fan base.
Absolutely.
Robert Downey Jr. has been heard multiple times talking about the fans. Kevin Feige has been, quoted multiple times talking about the fans and his love of the fans, the Russos, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
It shows in what they do.
Right. And then you've got, you've got the Star Wars franchise, which has been problematic because certain people within production are speaking down to the fans. But you've also got the fans also, attacking people like, Kelly Marie Trent, I think that's her name, getting her off of social media, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you've got an entire fan base that boycotts a movie and causes it to flop in the box office. So this isn't the kind of stuff that I want the film industry to continue experiencing on either side. Yeah. I think filmmakers need to understand that there are certain franchises that are now public domain. They belong to their fan base. You cannot alienate the fan base. Does that make their jobs 10 times harder because they have to cater to that? Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
But you know what? You signed up for it. You know what? You signed up for it.
When
like, this isn't,
When you acquire the rights to specific characters or specific materials, people expect specific things from you. And you have to deliver them in a very casual way. Now, if you want to bring your own twist to that, you could do it. But again, there is a way to present it.
I mean, look at how...
And I think that there's a bigger problem than that in Hollywood, which is it's all about the money.
Yeah.
It's all about the dollars. It's all about maximizing profit. It's okay, I'm going to get this franchise and I'm not really going to care. I'm going to do whatever I can to get seats. And they don't look at the long run. They just look at movie per movie. And I think that's why Marvel is successful, because they did not look at individual movie basis. No, they looked at the entire picture.
They've had minor, I mean, I wouldn't say massive flops, but
letdowns.
They've had letdowns. Yeah. You know, Thor: The Dark World,
exactly.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, Ant-Man.
Yeah, but again, like if you look at the bigger picture, they're catering to their fans. They're staying true to most of the comic book stories, if you want. When they're taking their liberties, they're doing it in a very refined way without upsetting anyone.
They're taking liberties, but they're making sure that those liberties understand what came before and what came after, or what will be coming after. And this is something that Star Wars has to learn if they are going to continue moving forward.
Yeah.
The reason why a lot of fans did not like The Last Jedi is not because The Last Jedi on a whole is a bad movie, but because The Last Jedi disrespected a lot of the stuff that came before.
Yeah.
With the prequels, as bad as the prequels are, I mean, I like, again, see, this is where I defend the prequels. As bad as they are from a script perspective or whatever, when it comes to the dialogue, they still respected where the mythos of Star Wars, right? They knew where they were going. Granted, I don't like that Anakin Skywalker seems to be the holy, you know, like the child of the midichlorians and there's no father. I don't like that at all. But again, I like where Anakin's arc leads. I like the downfall of Anakin and the rise of Vader. Lucas knew what he was doing. He didn't write great dialogue. Again, I repeat that. But there was a respect for what came after. And he had a plan for the sequel trilogy, which Lucasfilms under Disney's helm dumped. And that for me is problematic. And I think this is why we're in the dump that we are in today.
Maybe, perhaps. I mean, I don't know. And again, if you want to take the Star Wars examples and look at the fans, I've asked you this question before, and before I tackle what I want to say, and I've asked you this before, but I think people have become too critical. If the original trilogy had been released today, how would have people reacted? What would have been? Would it be as successful as it is today? I don't know. I think today people are being too picky and just too harsh and trying to look. This is what bothers me, is when someone looks at something and tries to find things that are wrong with it.
Okay.
I find that very destructive and not constructive.
Sure.
It does bother me. So with The Force Awakens, it came out, it was a financial success, but there were a lot of people who said that it's a copy-paste of A New Hope.
All right.
So they tried to do something different with The Last Jedi. Maybe there were things, if you want, that were quote unquote disrespected in the mythos, but they tried to do something different. And when it was too different, then fans were upset. So it's hard to please everyone. Mm-hmm. It's not Marvel. When Marvel started, the characters of Marvel weren't very well known. I mean, Hulk was a popular character. Mm-hmm. Iron Man, I don't think anyone knew.
No, not a lot.
Thor, even less. Spider-Man was known. So it was easier for them to take liberties and to do things in the stories without being criticized. Mm-hmm. But Star Wars has had such a massive following, and so many people believe that these characters are theirs, and they are. Mm-hmm. But to an extent where it becomes destructive when it comes to their criticism.
Yeah.
And nothing, no one's happy, no one's pleased. I think.
Look, I just think at the end of the day, there needs to be there needs to be balance.
Yes.
Between the filmmakers and the fan base. I think there needs to be, and you're right, to a certain degree, I think social media, and we've spoken about this before on the show, is that I think social media just makes it easier for the negativity to spread.
Yeah.
You know, to answer your question, do I think that the original trilogy would have succeeded if it was released today? I'm going to say to the majority, yes, because the original trilogy had one vision. the original trilogy had a direction. Sure, the Return of the Jedi went through some changes, but it was still, there was vision and direction. The Empire Strikes Back did not deny things that occurred in A New Hope, and the Return of the Jedi did not deny things that occurred in Empire or A New Hope.
Yeah, but when Empire Strikes Back came out, a lot of people didn't like it. And it took some time.
A lot of people were shocked by the idea that a hero could have a villain for a father.
Yeah. But with time, they kind of got on board.
Right. But it did not retcon things that were said in. Does that make sense? Like, I'm not saying that there wasn't a shock with Empire, which there should have been. But what I'm saying is that it didn't rewrite things that were set up in the first film. It was a continuation of that story.
Yeah.
And that's where I think there was a problem. So having a vision is very important. We've said that multiple times on the show. The idea of vision, the idea of respecting what came before, what came after, the idea of respecting the fan base. Yes, you're not going to be able to please everybody, but at least respect the fan base. And the fan base, yes, does need to take a chill pill.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And instead of breaking things down, we should be saving things and bringing things up.
Exactly. And I think studios are putting too much pressure on themselves financially.
Yeah.
And they're expecting results too quickly. I mean, look at Venom, which came out a while ago. It's it's the only thing Sony still has that's within the Marvel universe, the Venom and all those villains from the Spideyverse, and they just want to bankroll on that and make some money. And so they release Venom now. They're going to release the Jared Leto vampire character. They want to release Black Cat or whatever, and.
Yeah,
It just to make some money.
Again, this hunger for money, this greed for wanting to bank is, and look, I'm a big advocate because I say this all the time. I say the film industry is an industry. It is a business,
yes,
right?
Is.
But there needs to be balance within the industry, and there needs to be balance between the hunger. It's like you whine because not a lot of people are going to the movies anymore, but we're not going to the movies anymore because you're not offering us something that is worth going to the movies to watch. The majority of the time, most of the films are big letdowns.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's. I don't know if you even found.
No.
You know, I don't think there is a solution to this, but I thought it was worth talking about on Spotlight.
Yeah.
At least getting it out there. I'd love to hear some of what the screeners think about this. If you want to hit us up on our email, scripttoscreenshow@gmail.com, or if you want to email us on our social media or message us on our social media on Facebook, we'd love to hear what you think about this.
Yeah, and I just want to add one last thing.
Sure.
Which is really bothering me because this topic is annoying. It's that the creation of original content is more and more scarce.
Yes.
We're relying on franchises and on books,
comic books and graphic novels and book
sequels and prequels and parallel universes. Where are the fresh ideas? Where are the movies? Per year, you probably get one or two of those movies which are good and refreshing, but that's about it. They're not investing. They're not taking chances. They're not taking risks. That sucks.
Yeah, big time.
Because people will
and
eventually.
The original content, most of the time, original content is very depressing.
Yeah, and people are going to get bored.
It's like dark stories. Yeah, they're like darker stories.
People are going to get bored, and I don't know what I think. We are today I'm not going to say in a dump because it's too negative, but we're kind of
we're in a lull.
We're a standstill.
Yeah, we're in a lull. It's a little dip.
Yeah.
A little dip. So what we're going to do is we're going to be throwing in a bunch of brand new segments for Spotlight episodes. We don't want to stick to just the two, formats, the unforgettable scenes and Second Chance. We want to do some new stuff. So because we don't have a lot of time left, Han Solo's going to ask me some trivia questions. I'm very nervous now all of a sudden because I don't want to look like an idiot. So he's going to ask me some trivia questions and I'm going to try to answer them.
Yeah.
So we're going to do, what is it, 2-3 questions?
A few questions, yeah. It's a true or false.
Okay,
so
true or false. I'm going
to give you a statement.
Okay.
And you're going to have to tell me that if it's true or false. And we might talk about, if it's true, a bit about the story behind.
Sure. Okay. So since we're going to be talking about it, let's just do 2.
Okay.
Because we literally only have like 4 minutes left.
All right, let's go. So initially in Back to the Future, the DeLorean car was supposed to be a fridge. True or false?
I don't know why, but I feel like that's true.
It is true.
Yes.
It is true.
I had a feeling. It just sounded so crazy. It could have been true.
Basically, when they first started to write the script, they're like, we're going to use a fridge. And the kid goes into the fridge and then he's like thrown back in time. A very fun fact is the fridge is used in Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull when he hides into that fridge.
Oh, that's so funny.
That's a reference because Zemeckis and Spielberg had always talked about the fridge.
Okay,
and it made its way into being like...
That's hilarious.
So okay, nice.
Okay.
Very well. Okay.
Number two.
In Liar Liar, the movie starring Jim Carrey.
Okay. Haven't seen that in ages.
Jim Carrey has 2 roles. True or false?
In Liar Liar, Jim Carrey has 2 roles?
Yep.
I'm going to say true.
It is true. Right.
Yes.
So yeah, the funny thing in Jim Carrey, and it's a blink it and you'll miss it scene.
Yeah, I figured as much. It would be like some like weird cameo or something.
Yeah, so he has his character as and he has a character that he plays from in Living Color, which is Inspector. He's a fire inspector.
Okay.
And he's seen towards the end of the movie in the background in the crowd behind his family.
That's awesome.
And you just see him like among people. And it's just
That's awesome.
It's epically hilarious. And so next time you watch it, keep your eyes open.
Yeah. And I like this trivia thing. This will be fun. Maybe next time I ask you questions.
Yeah, definitely.
On that note, we're gonna take we're gonna actually sign off. So if you want to follow us on social media, you can do so at Alamahana.
And at had.solo.
And you can also check out our website, scripttoscreenpod.com, and listen to us on Spotify and Rami,
YouTube,
Podchaser, Podbean, etc. Thank you for joining us. Join us again tomorrow for a Script to Screen News Hour. We love you, screeners. We are out of here.
Hi, I'm Alan.
And I am Hat Solo.
And together we can rule the galaxy.
That might take too much time. Let's talk about films and TV instead.
That makes sense. Join us at 3 p.m. every Friday for Script to Screen Spotlight and Saturday for the Script to Screen News Hour.
We'll be discussing all the latest news from the film and TV industry.
And we'll also enchant you with some of the greatest songs and soundtracks out there. Script to Screen, only on Radio Lebanon 96.2 FM, made to be heard.